Hey guys, good morning. It is Back in the Box Productions bringing to you the OMC show, and I am Mike, the original MC. And we're coming at you this morning. It's a Sunday morning of week two. A little bit of a light version, no music today, but we're going to do a quick preview of the week two matchups. So let's go ahead and chop it up. So as always, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll pull up the week two matchups. You guys realize obviously at the time of this recording, it's before 10 a.m. Lineups are of course subject to change. I will only discuss the lineups that are currently showing as starting lineups on the site. Obviously, those things are subject to change, as I mentioned, but we'll go ahead and talk about what we're currently looking at, give you an idea what the previews look like, what the matchups look like, and if anything else comes up, we'll touch on it then. All right. So let's go ahead. Let me share the share the screen with you. We're gonna pull up the scoreboard. All right, there we go. All right, so week two box scores. Now, you'll notice that all the games have some scores already. Obviously, that was from the Thursday night game, the Philadelphia Viking game on Thursday night. There were some points to be had, as you can see in our first matchup. That's myself versus Miamichi, best pizza in Florida, aka Vinny Grande. Need my coffee. And you can see currently Vinny has a nice head start on me after a huge game from Devontae Smith. I made this comment. We were kind of texting back and forth on Thursday night. Through the years, you remember certain things, and I have been burned by more Philadelphia Eagles in prime time than I care to even think about. I had LaShawn McCoy rush for 200 yards in a snowstorm. I had Mike Vick throw for insane touchdowns on Monday night. Deshaun Jackson catching touchdowns, running touchdowns back. And now Devontae Smith putting up a 34 spot against Minnesota when Philadelphia's game plan, the whole game was to run, except they had to pass it to Devontae Smith, who had a really efficient game. I think he only had like 3 or 4 catches, but he went for like 130 and a long touchdown. So nice head start for Vinny. Really makes our matchup tight in terms of projections. And so let's go ahead and take a look. As it currently stands, based off the adjusted projections with Devontae Smith's big game, currently, ESPN has Vinny projected to beat me by 10 points. Let's go ahead and take a look at the starting lineups. I'll start with Vinny. He's got Trevor Lawrence. Now, I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I think he's a great quarterback and is playing against Kansas City. Theoretically, when we think KC, we think high-scoring matchups. That very well could be. This one hurts me. Christian McCaffrey, CMC, versus the Rams, who he loves to play against. 4 o'clock this afternoon. Vinny's highest projected point total in terms of a guy, and that's gonna be nervous for me because obviously I want the Niners to win, but it'd be nice if they do it with someone other than CMC. Josh Jacobs versus Buffalo at 1 o'clock. Jalen Waddle, not to jump over to mine for a second, but that's an interesting one because as I sort of look things over, Vinny and I have most of our guys going during the day today, but there's a Sunday night game in which we will pit 2 receivers against each other from the same team, and that could be pivotal in determining who wins the matchup. So Jalen Waddle tonight versus New England. Devonta Smith is in the clubhouse with 34 points, not a bad position to be in. George Kittle, another Niner versus the Rams this afternoon. Javonte Williams with Denver versus Washington. Washington's got a great defense, so hopefully they can shut them down. And then Mike Evans playing a little bit angry right now, with his contract status, and they're playing Chicago, so we'll see what happens. And then you have the Giants playing Arizona in theoretically what should be a great spot for the Giants. Think about it. Giants lost 40-0 last week. They play this week what they deem to be the worst team in football. And you think they're going to come out hungry and angry? I think so. That's one that makes me a little nervous. And then we have the kicker for the Giants and the Chiefs head coach. On my side, I have Josh Allen looking to rebound from a terrible week 1. playing Las Vegas at 1 o'clock. Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is a bona fide RB1 this year. Problem is he's playing the Jets. And Jets defense is solid, so we'll see. I'm predicting a lot of receiving yards for Pollard in that game today. Kenneth Walker versus Detroit. That should be a good game. Tyreek Hill, the monster, put up 50-plus last week. Hoping for a repeat performance versus New England. That, again, is the Sunday night game where we'll have Tyreek Hill versus Jalen Waddle side by side. Big Mike Williams, feast or famine, right? He's the epitome of feast or famine. Is this the game where he comes out and plays really well? I sure hope so. Coming back off of almost had a concussion last week. Mark Andrews makes his season debut, NFL season debut this week, as he was out last week. He got in a full practice the other day. He practiced all week, and hopefully he stays healthy, and hopefully he does what Mark Andrews does. I could really use the pick-me-up since I'm so far behind right now. Tyler Lockett versus Detroit. Joshua Kelly, who was my week one sort of savvy pickup just before the game started, ended up coming to fruition as Austin Eckler, who I later traded for during the week, is going to be out, and who knows how long he's going to be out for. They're saying potential high ankle sprain. It might be 2 to 4 weeks. We'll see. Joshua Kelly should be a real nice addition there. He's not Eckler, but, hopefully he does big things. With the roster spot from putting Eckler on IR yesterday, I picked up the Bucs defense, rolling the dice a little bit. I don't usually like to do that. I picked up the Ravens defense to ride with them all year long, but I have a feeling Bucs versus Chicago. So I'm going to go ahead, and they're home. They're home in Tampa. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice with the Bucs defense, see if I can't, make something happen. Tyler Bass, kicker from Buffalo. Eagles coach in the clubhouse with a win. Fortunately, got my 5 points. So when you add it all up, Vinny's the ESPN favorite right now. But this should be a really good matchup. And you know what? If everything goes according to plan, I'm expecting some points. But this is a heck of a lineup I'm going against, and with the head start, this is going to be a challenge. So let's see what happens. Moving on. All right, Southpaw, Craig Roloff versus Rick Erdlin, Scooter's boys. As you can see, so let's see. Rick had nobody going on Thursday night, so he brings a full lineup into today. Craigie had a couple of players going on Thursday night, so we're going to start there as he spots. He has a 37-point lead over Rick so far. So let's take a look at that. So today he has Justin Herbert going versus Tennessee. Tennessee's a sneaky good defense, but did you hear the news? 2 of their top cornerbacks are out today. So maybe that makes them a little less formidable. We'll see what happens, but Tennessee's defense is nothing to sneeze at. James Cook versus Las Vegas. A.J. Dillon, I believe. So I guess I'm a little unprepared. I didn't hear the official word on Aaron Jones, but I know he was hurt. So, but A.J. Dillon projected to be 16. That tells me that Aaron Jones is out, which means A.J. Dillon gets the bulk of the work there versus Atlanta. That could be a nice pickup. Justin Jefferson doing double J things, 29 points on Thursday night. The guy's unstoppable, just is. Honestly, if you're playing against Justin Jefferson, pencil him in for 20-plus every game. I would be shocked if he comes in under 20. It's amazing. Amon-Ra St. Brown looking to continue his momentum from week 1 versus Seattle. That could be a high-scoring game. We'll see. Dallas Goedert in the clubhouse with 8 points. A much better performance than he had in week 1 where he put up 0. I like Goddard. I like this Philly team. And they're 2-0, but they haven't looked great. So look out for the rest of the NFL because if they hit their stride, they're a tough team. CD Lamb at 4 o'clock, Calvin Ridley versus KC. That's an interesting matchup. As I mentioned before, Jacksonville versus KC could put some points. And Calvin Ridley, man, he's the darling of the NFL right now. Amazing. And, not unexpected. Nonetheless, he was on a lot of people's radar this year. Cowboys versus Jets defense. Boy, the Cowboys looked good last week. And now they take on the other New York team, who I'm not sure if you heard. They had this quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, I think his name is, and he got hurt. So Zach Attack is back. So Dallas versus Zach Wilson and the Jets. That should be an interesting game. And then we have Cincinnati kicker and Dallas head coach versus the Jets, who are projected to beat the Jets this week. All right, on the Rick Erlin side, Scooters Boys looking to pick up the first win of the season. We have Brock Purdy going at 4 o'clock versus the Rams. Should be a good game. I like Brock, the story this year. I hope the Niners do well, but don't throw to CMC. Anyway, Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry is an interesting one. This is a guy who can put up 40, 50 points if he wants to. However, he basically split carries last week. Now, his projections show that he's supposed to do really well today, and he still has the talent, but he looks like he might be slowing down a little. However, they've said that about Derrick Henry every single year this year, or every single year over the last couple of years, and it hasn't happened. So I'm curious to see which one shows up today versus the Chargers. Najee Harris still has something to prove on a Monday night. I believe there are 2 Monday night games this week, if I'm not mistaken. So Najee Harris plays on Monday. Chris Godwin versus the Bears at 1 o'clock. The sensation that's sweeping the nation in Puka Nacua. Puka putting up Cooper Kupp numbers in week 1, filling in admirably. Had a ton of targets, and he was instantly picked up everywhere. Should be interesting to see. Now, keep in mind, temper expectations, because the Rams play the Niners this week. And for my money, Niners are probably in the top 2 or 3 defenses in all of football. And I know that's a homer opinion, but I firmly believe it. So it should be interesting to see what Puka does. This is one of the players I'm really interested in seeing how he follows up after a performance that came out of nowhere in week 1. Evan Engram, Jacksonville tight end versus Kansas City. Already spoken about that potentially high-scoring game. Cortland Sutton and Tyler Algier, respectively. Cortland Sutton in Washington, 4 o'clock. Tyler Algier, who had a very unpredictable performance in week 1, and Atlanta just looks to go back to the well and do even more running than they did last year. So it doesn't spell well for the pass catchers, but for the runners, Algier looked really good, and he's definitely a part of their plans, along with the rookie sensation Bijan. Pittsburgh playing Cleveland on Monday night defense, and that should be interesting. Pittsburgh got beat up pretty bad in week 1, so I think they're motivated. This is a division matchup, prime time Monday night at home, so probably a good spot for Pittsburgh. Kansas City kicker versus Jacksonville Dolphins head coach, and when you add it all up, right now, the ESPN projections have adjusted based on the Thursday night performance, and they show Craig Roloff as a heavy favorite over Scooters Boys, but as the saying goes, that's why they play the game. So we'll see what happens. Looking forward to it. There's some stuff to watch here. Moving on. R Chop, Matt versus the Brooklyn Baller. And I just want to see something here. So yeah, Aaron Jones. I'm going to pull up the Aaron Jones thing for 1 second. So let's see. Aaron Jones isn't expected to play, but he's not officially designated out yet. But yeah, I don't think he's going to play. The hamstring injury likely to keep him out for a week or 2. Okay, so in this matchup, we also had other MC has a 22-point head start from his Thursday night games, and so we're going to go ahead and start there. Patrick Mahomes, Jacksonville. I've spoken about the game 15 times already. Could be high scoring. Mahomes is always a threat to put up major points. Jamal Williams, running back versus Carolina. Still pretty much in the starting position with Alvin Kamara out on suspension. And so Jamal Williams should be able to hopefully have some success this week versus Carolina relative to what they did versus Tennessee last week. Ramondre Stevenson, newly acquired Ramondre Stevenson in the highly controversial trade. But good to have him in the lineup because the guy he was traded for isn't playing today. And other MC has some other running back injuries. So Stevenson anchors the running back lineup today. And it's a primetime game tonight versus Miami, and see what happens there. T. Higgins versus Baltimore looks to rebound off of a horrendous week one. Newly acquired Nico Collins, hearing a lot of buzz about him this week, which is not unexpected. That's why I drafted him earlier this year, or picked him up, and I think he's a quality NFL receiver. We'll see what he does versus Indy today. Tight end Tyler Conklin versus Dallas at 4:00. Should be interesting to see if he becomes any focal point of the offense with Zach Wilson back in there. Jordan Addison played on Thursday night. Very, very exciting receiver. I think you wouldn't think that because he's lined up next to Justin Jefferson, but the point is Justin Jefferson is so good and commands so much attention. I think that actually works in Addison's favor, and 22 points on Thursday night supports that argument. So a nice beginning for the week. Elijah Moore, Cleveland, playing versus Pittsburgh on Monday night, prime time. Jets defense versus Dallas in what could be a defensive matchup. In fact, I'm thinking that it might be. The greatest kicker on the planet, Mr. 8th round, Justin Tucker, and Browns coach. So on our chop side, Lamar Jackson looking to rebound off of a subpar week one despite the victory versus Houston. Nick Chubb, best all-around running back in football in my opinion, playing on Monday. Not all around, excuse me, best pure runner in the game. He's not much of a receiver. Monday night prime time. I love big time players on prime time Monday night. It gives you something to look forward to. Sky's the limit, and that would be the case here. Monday night versus Pittsburgh. James Conner, the only so we got Arizona versus Giants. James Conner, see what he can do against the Giants at 4:00 this afternoon. Stephon Diggs and the Bills look to rebound off of a disappointing loss week one versus Las Vegas. DK Metcalf, always dangerous versus Detroit, could be high scoring. Rolling out Cole Kmet, tight end again versus Tampa. I'm betting on Tampa whipping up on Chicago, at least I'm hoping. So we'll see. Chris Olave, up-and-coming receiver, very dangerous. Again, Monday night game, New Orleans, Carolina. Very exciting to have him. Mike Pittman Jr., the professional, right? The only guy who catches passes out there in Indy. And Anthony Richardson's looking pretty good, so Pittman might be a guy that can really anchor this team. Saints defense versus Carolina Monday night. Miami kicker, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Matt had Zerline, but he's out this week, the kicker for the Jets. So he went and scoops up Jason Sanders. And then, of course, the Ravens coach predicted to lose versus Cincinnati. When you add it all up, factoring in the Thursday night action, ESPN projects this to be a 3-point, very close game with our chop getting the slight edge. But once again, that's why they play the game. We'll see. Should be a good matchup, though. I mean, this could honestly go either way. I don't really have a feel. Moving on. Errol versus Rick Penner. Polish Powers versus the Polar Bears. All right, so we had some Thursday action on both sides here. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with Errol on the Polish Power side. Tua Tagovailoa in a Sunday night game versus New England. I've mentioned this game a couple times because of the receivers. The one thing that always makes me nervous when you play New England is Belichick is so good. Now, I don't think New England is as good as they've been in years past, but Belichick is so good at game planning and taking away your weapons. And this offense is insane with Miami. So it's just a matter of which tools he's going to look to take away. So will Tua have a great game tonight? We'll see. To me, he looked better in week one than he had in years past. The problem is can he stay healthy? You have Saquon Barkley versus Arizona at 4:00, looking to rebound off of an embarrassing week one. Travis Etienne with Jacksonville versus KC, projected to have a nice day. Garrett Wilson, a little bit of a letdown here without Rodgers there, but Garrett Wilson still put up good numbers with mediocre quarterback play last year, and he's still a top-tier talent. So it should be interesting. He should be a focal point of the passing game. Because on the run side, I think we're going to start to lean more heavily to Breece Hall. Keenan Allen, Chargers versus Tennessee. Again, Tennessee has cornerbacks missing, so that bodes probably pretty well for the Chargers pass game. Thursday night, TJ Hawkinson lived up to his top tier tight end status and put up 25 points versus Philly. Anytime you can get north of 20 for your tight end, that's a nice way to start. Scary Terry McLaurin, Washington versus Denver. Isaiah Pacheco flexing in at the running back against Jacksonville. Isaiah, man, I love watching this guy play. We talk about Rutgers. The guy runs like he's angry. It's beautiful to watch, and he's not that big. Anyway, Bears defense versus Tampa Bay. Seattle kicker, Vikings coach. Vikings coach lost against Philly, so he's in the clubhouse with a -3. On the Polar Bear side, Justin Fields. So Justin Fields is one of the more exciting players in the NFL, but he's potentially a little feast or famine, also an injury risk, but we'll see what he does versus Tampa on the road down in Florida. DeAndre Swift played Thursday night, and what a game. So I think leading into this season, I think we all thought that Swift was going to be the guy, but then week 1, Gainwell came out, and he ended up being the starting running back. Then Gainwell got hurt, didn't play. Swift came in and did what DeAndre Swift is capable of doing. He's an injury risk. He's been hurt a lot, but the guy is seriously, seriously talented. So 31 points on a Thursday. Let's just see. We have some. Okay. So, 31 points on Thursday. Great head start for the Polar Bears. Bijan Robinson, he was just traded for, and he looked great in week 1. We'll see if he can follow up with an encore performance versus Green Bay. Devontae Adams at Buffalo. Top flight receiver. We'll see if he can, be the only target out there in Vegas. You have DJ Moore versus Tampa, Chicago receiver, who a little bit underwhelming in week 1, but very exciting in the preseason. Super talented guy, and he has a mini stack here with Fields and Moore. See if it can pay off for him. Kyle Pitts. So we've got, 2 Bears, 2 Falcons. 3 Falcons if you count the kicker. So Kyle Pitts, we'll see what happens. Pass catchers in Atlanta are frustrating because they're super, super talented. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, but they just don't throw ever. So Jahmyr Gibbs, for me, the best running back in Detroit. Will he break loose this week? We'll see. Montgomery was the lead guy last week, but Gibbs passed the eye test for me. He looked phenomenal. Dameon Pierce versus Indy, tempered by the fact that it's just not a great team. But Pierce is a professional running back, and I think he's always going to get you something. And then we have Broncos D versus Washington, kicker for Atlanta, Giants head coach. When you add it all up, we have ESPN projections when you factor in the Thursday night games has the Polar Bears about a 10-point favorite or so over Errol. But again, this one's close. We'll see how it ends up. Some real nice players in this particular matchup. And then finally, we have the Chosen Ones, CB, looking to get his first win of the season, versus Morrow, who comes in off a nice victory. And we had a lot of Thursday night action on Morrow's side and not so much on CB's side, so we're going to start with Morrow. First of all, Jalen Hurts, Thursday night, 28 points, pretty much what you expected from him. You can see that he actually matched the projections from ESPN. Alexander Mattison continues to disappoint. I was thinking about this. This guy's crazy, right? So every year for the last 5 years, Alexander Mattison was a must-have. Had to have him handcuffed. He just looked good when he came into play. Now he gets a shot to start, and he's extremely underwhelming, very unexciting. I don't know what that's all about. Strange. But maybe he's just better suited as a backup. 4 points, not going to cut it. A.J. Brown, the wrong receiver was catching balls in Philadelphia on Thursday. Only had 6 points, and there's some rumors about some unrest there in Philadelphia. Although, related to A.J. Brown and his usage, although I'm not sure how much I believe that because A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are the best of friends out in the world. So, I'm sure they'll work it out. And then you have 6 points for A.J. Brown. Khalil Herbert playing against Tampa. Should be interesting to see how things shake out in Chicago from a running back standpoint. You have Deebo Samuel, the gadget player, against the Rams, 4 o'clock. Travis Kelce makes his season debut this week, and from all reports, he's healthy. He's going to wear some hardware on the leg, but Chiefs are happy to get him back, and so is Morrow. Zach Moss, rolling out Zach Moss in the flex at running back. That's wild versus Houston. And then Justice Hill. I traded Justice Hill tomorrow to get my backup in Seattle, and he's actually rolling out in the starting lineup this week. So should be very interesting to see how this plays out. Buffalo Bills versus Vegas defense. Jake Elliott, the kicker for Philly, put up a nice 14 points, which sort of helps offset some of the lack of production from Madison and Brown. And then you got 49ers coach. On the chosen one side, the holy trio, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, all the Cincinnati Bengals look to rebound off a horrific week one. And to be honest, at this stage of the game, as goes the Cincinnati Bengals, goes CB. So we'll see how they do against Baltimore, 1 o'clock this afternoon. Rachaad White, who, again, I'm a fan of, plays against Chicago today. We'll see if he can have a better game than week one. Brandon Ayuk, best pure receiver in San Francisco, had a wonderful week one. Looks to continue the momentum in week two, 4 o'clock versus the Rams. Darren Waller, I expect the Giants as a whole to be better this week, and so look out for Waller. Miles Sanders on Monday night versus New Orleans, the running back out in Carolina. And rolling out Double J, the other Double J, Jerry Jeudy versus Washington at 4 o'clock this afternoon. 49ers defense versus the Rams. Again, 49ers defense, one of the tops in the league, no doubt about that. And you got Tennessee kicker, Buffalo coach. When you add it all up, based off the Thursday night action and the underperformance of some of those players, ESPN has CB as a sizable favorite, 156, 128 based off of the current scores, despite the fact that Morrow is currently sporting a 52-0 lead, but looks are deceiving when you dig into it. So there you have it, guys. Let me stop the share for a second. There you have it. That's the week one preview for the Hop. I'm once again excited, so excited that football is here. It's been a heck of a week, really rough couple of days, but football is what cures me. So, and this week I get to watch a majority of the games since last week I wasn't able to. So on that note, that's all I have for today. Enjoy the action. Good luck to everyone. For anyone that hopefully you don't start out 0-2, but remember, it's not a death sentence if you do. The season is young and the possibilities are endless. On that note, again, apologize, no music for today. Enjoy all the action today, and I will try to hit you with a Monday night preview tomorrow if I can. If not, though, you can certainly count on a week two wrap-up after all the action is concluded for the week. And on that note, thank you guys for watching. I always appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the videos. Give me some comments, record some videos of your own, get involved, and, have some fun with it. All right? On that note, this has been the original MC, and I'm back in the box. Thrilled to be here, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Enjoy the games.